all-new episode here of Underground Florida. Today we have all the way from Chile. We have none other than Francisco from the band Nuclear. Francisco, thank you very much for tuning in, my man. How you doing?
Thank you for the invite. We are good. Under the circumstances, everything is great. Thank you.
Francisco, it's really excited to talk to you and also representing your country, Chile, because Nuclear has been one of the most respectful underground thrash bands in South America. And first things first, we just want to know exactly how Chile is still going on with the situation of COVID-19.
The situation, I mean, it's been hard for everyone, I guess. We still have like 6,000 cases per day, so it's still a very complicated situation here in Chile. But I think we're getting there. I mean, the vaccination rate is going up. I think we are around 60% of the population is already vaccinated. So I think we're going to be in a good spot maybe around September or October this year. So I haven't gotten it, so none of my close friends or family have gotten it. So in that sense, we are really good.
This whole situation has to resolve, including for the bands that has been working very hard to get out a new material, also coming up with some good merch, and of course keeping themselves occupied for 2022, which we hope becomes the year which everything turns out back to normal. We're here to talk about the importance of how South America has been dominating the underground thrash metal scene and death metal scene for many years, and most people never rely on to pay attention to it. Now, tell me a little bit more about how Nuclear became very respected in the South American scene and, of course, in Chile.
Everything started around 18 years ago when we decided to change the name of the previous band we had, which was called Escoria, Scum in English. We decided to write new, fresh material, to change the lineup, the current lineup that we had that time. Started in 2003. It's been a really hard work for us. It's been 6 albums, 6 European tours. Actually, a visit to Puerto Rico one. Been in Mexico, Argentina, Russia. Been working our asses off. I mean, it's been a really hard path for us, but it has paid off. So we're really happy that how things turn out. I mean, we're really happy with all our albums. The label relationship that we have right now. So everything is, I mean, like I said, it started like 18 years ago, and we are still working very hard ever since.
One of the first record that I started listening to, guys, was, of course, Apatrida, if I'm not mistaken, which was 2012.
It's an EP called Apatrida, yes. It's a 4 or 5 songs EP that we released on 2012. That it has the first song in Spanish, actually, called Apatria as well, yes. It started like a project just for an album for the Chilean people. I mean, it's a very local album. And so some years, the album started to spread out, and it became very known outside. So we're really happy with the result of that album. And I think that's like the starting point of like a new genre for us. We started to mix a little bit more of punk music, hardcore, and not only thrash metal. So it was actually a really important EP for us.
Something I've always wanted to know a little bit more about Nuclear, because every people has told me that the South American underground metal scene has been active. It's, for me, considered Latino America has been the #1 continent ever to bring upon underground thrash music. How important was it for Nuclear to reach out to a point of saying, we want to represent where we come from, and of course the importance of South American people dominating the underground metal scene?
Well, I mean, being from South America it's hard. I mean, to be a metal musician in South America, I mean, it's really hard because we're pretty much far away from everything. It's important to be aware of your roots, and obviously I think South American metal music is the most extreme metal music that you can ever hear in the world. I mean,
definitely.
The passion that the South American people put in the music, I mean, in my point of view, it's a little bit different than in other places. Yeah, I mean, it's really important to write your your own kind of music in that regard.
And something that most people doesn't quite understand of the fact of South America is that, us Latinos, we've been going and still going through really tough times when it comes to government, politicians, society behavior, which encourage nuclear to actually say, that's it. We have to create an album to express how we feel about what our country is going through, of what South America is going through. Every single material that you guys have done over the years of Nuclear, has it been more about political aspect or more about society behavior?
I think the material have everything, from the first album, Heaven Night, or the second one, 10 Broken Codes, and Jehovirus, the third one. I think we based more on like a religious aspect,
right?
And then when we released Apatrida, I think we got more into the political stuff.
Right.
And Formula for Anarchy is a very political album as well. And then Murder of Crows, the latest album, I think it talks more about the society and how we behave under extreme conditions and stuff like that. But yes, I think we in each album the band tries to mix everything and tries to bring like a global situation about the country or the world, and mixing all the bad aspects in life. I mean, the religious stuff, the political stuff, all the society stuff. And I think that's important for metal music to outspeak, all these situations that are really bad in the world. So we try to focus on the real deal. I mean, not fiction or stuff like that. We talk about the real deal. And that's what Nuclear is all about. I mean, it's to talk about what's really happening in the world.
People trying to fight for their human rights against politics, and politics, unfortunately, they always find a way to put you in a deeper hole. And I always say that metal music is keeps us to fight stronger. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how your opinion is. And that comes to the 2015, which is Formula of Anarchy. I remember when I heard that for the very first time, I was very excited because it does show that side of, political aspect of what South American country has been going on, and not just in South America, but I would say worldwide. But something that most people, most the American side and the European side, they never focus on what us, Latinos, we've been going through when it comes to politics, and for us, the escape of giving that defense is metal music. And in your opinion, I want to know, why do you think most people from America or from Europe doesn't pay attention to South American underground thrash metal?
That's a tough one. I don't know. I mean, I think it has to do with showbiz. I mean, it's where in the States or in Europe is where the majority of the bands are working right now, and where the tours happen. Obviously, they have a lot of bands to choose. They have amazing bands in the States, amazing bands in Europe, and maybe they don't feel the necessity to look elsewhere for more bands. And I think that's a mistake, because South America has so much to offer in that regard, like South America growing that fast. But I think there are a lot of material here. There are a lot of great, amazing musicians, amazing bands. So I think Americans and Europeans need to dig a little bit more and to find those bands.
Do you think it's very important that bands of this generation, especially, for example, Nuclear, do you think you guys should compose your own music by yourself? Or do you believe that with a record label, you guys could be a lot more recognized and a lot more prepared, when it comes to marketing?
I mean, we work with a record label at the moment. We are nowadays we're signed to Black Lodge, Sound Pollution in Sweden.
Right.
Yes. We used to be signed with Candlelight as well. But Formula for Anarchy came out via Candlelight Records. But before that, we were an unsigned band, so we know the both sides of the story, and I think it works both ways. I think you have to do stuff yourself. To start with, you need to do stuff for yourself. I mean, every single band needs to work hard. A metal band doesn't necessarily need a label to work, but obviously when they have a really hard-working label, next to you, obviously things become easier, and obviously stuff start to happen.
Right.
A better distribution deal. You start to have maybe more touring opportunities, and that's it depends on what the band is actually looking for. I mean,
Right.
I've known a lot of bands that only want to put albums out, but they don't want to play live. I personally don't understand that, but just Nuclear wants all the time. We're always looking for playing as much as we can in more countries. So we, in our side of the story, we needed a label to work with because we wanted to play more outside. We wanted to play more in Europe. We haven't been in the States yet, aside from Puerto Rico. We've been once in 2019, but we never played in the stateside, and I think that's very important, and that's one of the things that we really want to do.
There's a lot of talent, like you and I, we've said, there's a lot of talent going on worldwide, and these are kids at the age of 17, 18 years old, even 15, they're starting to form their own band, and they have really potential on dominating their locals. They're dominating a lot with thrash and death metal, and to be honest with you, I'm very, very surprised that they are dominating a lot more. I'm seeing them with EPs, I'm seeing them with merch. They're sacrificing a lot, but something that really frustrates me is that there's a lot of people that doesn't support their local bands. In your opinion, how important it is to support local bands, and why?
I mean, there is no way. I mean, every major band, every big name in the metal history, what they once was a local band. Obviously, a small band, a local band, it needs the most support. I mean, we don't have a strong fan base, so but they are starting in the business right now. So I think it happened to us in the past. I mean, we opened shows for 2 people, 3 people, down there, and it just was very disappointing. Even if we don't get that support, the bands should continue, working and just believing in themselves. I think that's the most important thing. I mean, the local support is really important, but sometimes you just don't have it.
It's just frustrating that most people always ask for new bands, and when new bands comes in and gives them a new feeling of the genre, they either say, oh, it's not good, or this is too boring. I'm just gonna stick to the old stuff. Now, that is something that I've always told people. The old school, yes, the old school is not gonna die, because obviously new generation bands can add old school into their material. Let's be honest. Neither Sodom, Destruction, Creator, Anthrax, not all these bands are gonna live forever. One of those bands are gonna say, we're done, we're gonna retire, we're gonna settle down, we're just gonna pass the torch to these new bands who will eventually, they will keep the metal scene alive. In Chile, the fan base is very competitive against other parts of South America. We already know that Brazil is considered a very high entity of fans of metal, but Chile is considered second. You guys are the top number 5 of one of South America's most largest metalheads ever. Have you ever visualized yourself while you go to a show, see the band that they're performing, and you say to yourself, man, we have to put that same energy or implement that idea to Nuclear? Like, have you ever had that experience or that aspect before?
Yes. To start with, we actually opened that show of the Phil and Someone, the Illegals in Chile.
I remember.
It was great. It was crazy. Actually happened a couple of times, but I remember one time, it was in 2006, that we were invited to open the Torture Squad show. So we just performed, did our shit, everything was cool. And then we went, to the venue and started watching the Torture Squad show, and we were amazed. We were like, wow, these guys are incredible, excellent musicians, on stage they were brutal. So we were like, we need to be like those guys. We need to play as fast and as brutal as those guys. But we were really influenced by then. I mean, back then we were really influenced in Torture Squad. I mean, that band was really, I'm just talking about Torture Squad because it happened, when we played it, we have played in Europe, but it happened with a South American band.
Nuclear's Jehovirus. I remember seeing that, and I was like, holy shit, that is what I'm talking about. This is something I gotta have with me. What came the idea of creating that concept of having a priest with a gas mask and two babies already like corpsed? Like, what was that transaction going through?
Wow, yeah, actually, I think that's the artwork that I like most. I mean, it was done by a tattoo artist. You know, this I don't back in that time. I think this all abuses inside the church were occurring. You know, we decided, and man, how can we put this in a picture? You know, in a drawing, and obviously we are not artists, so we were like, we need to talk to somebody who's able to do this, and I instantly thought on the tattoo artist in Germán La Torre, and I talked to the guy. I said, "Hey, we need like a very shocking, drawing about this and that." He presented this drawing, very raw stuff. He said, "Hey, how about this?" And I instantly loved it. I mean, it was like so brutal to say, "Hey, this is amazing." But the guy said, "Hey, I'm just going to this part. I mean, I just can draw this, but I cannot paint this."
Right.
So okay, so let's talk to another guy that could paint this.
Right.
So we talked to Claudio Botarro, another artist. Said, "Hey, can you paint this? Can you put some colors on this?" And yes, of course, no problem. And the Jehovirus artwork came out, and we instantly loved it. And I think that was one of the best albums of the band. I mean, it's still selling a lot.
It is.
And, it allowed us to go to Europe for the first time, and so I'm really happy for that album, and I still love that album a lot.
Have you guys ever had any criticism, like very harsh criticism, about the album cover by people that are religious? And if so, what was it like?
I think yes. I mean, we had some bad comments. We back then, social media wasn't that big at that time, so I think we got some hate mail. I mean, some people saying that we should not. I mean, obviously, we put out some merchandising as well, so people was wearing, were wearing that T-shirt, that size. So, yes, we received some hate, but not that much. I mean, we are still a very underground band. So
there's been a lot of people that've been saying that, people, of course, in Puerto Rico, they've told me about you guys several times. That's how I discovered. You guys back in 2012. Has any fan or has any people in Chile has come up to you and says, you guys are going to become very big. You guys have helped me with your music, go through some really tough times. We thank you for it. Like, have you ever had those comments before? And if so, how do you feel that the people uses your music to fight against these sort of situations?
Well, depression is a bitch. I mean, we have received some feedback about that from people that overcame really bad situations through our music, and obviously we're really, really glad about it. And it's important. I think it's really. I think music can take you anywhere without actually being, anywhere elsewhere. I mean, it takes your mind outside, and it helps you fight all these feelings. That's important. Definitely, music is one of the things that help a lot how to fight this. And yes, we have received some good comments. And yes, that nuclear music is helping music, and we're really happy that our music is helping. It's really important.
There is a new album, which is of course, I believe it's Murder of Crows. I believe that's the new album.
Yes.
Now it's a very interesting album because the artwork itself doesn't implement on what you guys have material-wise, because obviously you guys go fast, you guys go aggressive, but that artwork of, I think it's a demon like chopping a crow like that. I'm like, what is this? Like, what are going through their minds? I will know exactly how, calling the album Murder of Crows, and especially that artwork. Like, where did you guys came up with that idea?
A murder of crows is just a group of crows. It's how you call a group of crows.
Right.
Murder of crows. And we decided to go for that kind of artwork because we didn't know what to do. it's a different album in our career. It's more into death metal.
Yeah, it is.
You know, Matthias' voice got a lot thicker for this album.
It did.
So we decided to look for something different. And actually, the artwork was in charge of my cousin. She lives in Germany.
Nice.
She's like this visual artist. Yes, a visual artist, and she does all this kind of crazy stuff. And I asked her if she was willing to do something about this, and she was like, of course, yes, let's do it. And she presented this idea. It was like, this is the title, and this is, I don't know, but just go with the flow. We're not going to put ideas in your mind. Just do whatever you want with it. And she came up with this idea, and we were like, wow. We loved it. I mean, it was different. It was very raw. It's like just a paint, like doing like very psychotic paint,
right?
You know, like in an institution maybe.
Exactly.
So that's what we loved about it. So we decided to keep it. I mean, it was like, yeah. And then we cast the name Crows, and the guys is like this demon is killing a crowd, but it doesn't have to do with killing
birds.
Yeah, I mean, it has to do with actually the album talks about society, the behavior, you know, and it's about how similar we become to wild animals under extreme circumstances, how competitive, how aggressive we become every time we are like in a very stressful situation. Just fit, you know, the artwork really fit into the music, so we kept it, and we actually have like another version of the same album in red.
Have you guys tried to implement some death metal style into your music compared to thrash, or you just say, nah, we're just gonna stick to the crossover aspect? Like, what really came about of that album specifically that went more death metal than what you guys have doing before?
I think it had to do with Matthias sounded just way more brutal than before,
right?
And I used to I write all the riffs with Sebastian, the other guitar player. Actually, we always think of how it would sound at the end, putting together the first riffs, but we always try to see how the song is going to end. Right. So we were thinking about Matthias' voice and say, hey, we need some more brutal riff in this. This riff is not gonna go. Yeah. You're right, and we actually the album came together like very natural, you know. But yeah, it came together very natural. But we did not think this before we started writing.
Are you guys really a big fan of death metal? And if so, what were the bands that kind of like push you into saying, I want to be technical, I want to play guitar, like I want to like see how far I can reach to my life point on forming my own band or being in a band?
I'm a big death metal fan. I mean, I started listening metal music around 1981, maybe. Swedish death metal, and the Florida death metal, you know, and you know, the Morbid Angel, Obituary, the Malevolent Creation, all the good stuff. Yes, I'm a really big death metal. Actually, when we started playing music back in the 90s, like 94, 95, we were really just kids. We were 14, 15 years old. The first band, Escoria, was a little bit more into death metal than thrash. I mean, I was the singer back then. And,
nice.
I was really a big fan of old Sepultura.
Of course.
Yes, and we're still, you know, big fans of the old stuff and really big fans of the new stuff coming out. I mean, there are a lot of great bands out there. I mean, I don't know, Leak or Bast. You have really amazing new bands that really are pushing us to be better, you know, that's
exactly.
Important.
I have a very special question for you. I've always say this question to every other bands that I've interviewed, but it's very important that we all get to hear another one, you know, just to see your opinion and, you know, so people can actually follow up the excitement of what we do. Which is the first death metal record of all time? Was it Scream Bloody Gore Death or Possess Seven Churches?
It's a really tough one. I mean, I love both albums, and I think if I have to answer that, I will go for Scream Bloody Gore. I discussed personally, I think I listened to that album way more than Seven Churches back then. I mean, I love both albums, and I think the album is just so freakingly brutal. And I think, well, I mean, all Death albums are great. I mean, all the brutal stuff and the more technical, melodic stuff. I think I love, all Chuck Schuldin's career. I think the guy was a genius.
This is a very important question which leads to the end of the interview. The bands are trying to find the right and the perfect safe way to keep promoting themselves and to at least let the fans know and say, hey, we're doing good, we're doing okay. What can you tell to the fans expecting what Nuclear has planned for 2021 coming for next year?
I think we're waiting for the bars to open. We're waiting for the venues to open because we're more like a live band. We need to interact with the people, and that's the way we like things. I mean, it's okay. I mean, we can set all the cameras and good sound and everything, and you can maybe stream live free or just charge a little bit for it. But we actually had a couple of tours booked, and for this year in Europe, and they obviously did not happen. And we're just waiting for the. That's why we're all already vaccinated, and we're just waiting for this Shed show to be over as soon as possible. But yeah, we're not preparing any live shows at the moment. But I don't know if this continues for another year. Obviously, let's hope not. But maybe we can put something together. But at the moment, we're not thinking about doing a live stream and stuff like that.
Is there any message would you like to give to the younger audience, where they're starting with their new material, and anything that you could title about Nuclear on what's coming in their way?
For those who don't know about Nuclear, I mean, you can check our social media. You can check nuclear.cl, and you can go everywhere from there. It's the website, nuclear.cl, and you have the social in there. You have videos, you have merchandising, you have everything you need to know. I mean, spend as much time as you can, practicing. Get off social. I mean, start using your time, think big. I mean, that's important. Practice a lot. I mean, go to the rehearsal room, get with your bandmates, and just get creative. And I mean, that's the most important thing. And really, I think they should just grab the guitar, grab the bass, grab the drums, and just get creative. And because talent, there are a lot of wasted talent out there. I mean, and I happen to know many musicians that just don't do anything.
Exactly.
They just I mean, they are really talented, and just they have to focus more on the music. So there you have it. I mean, it's important to spend more time in your project, in your, because it's everybody's dream. The musician's dream is to get noticed outside, to get recognition, and you're not going to have that if you don't practice, if you don't put some material out, and obviously, and you need to learn how to manage yourself. Not only the music, I mean, you have to manage yourself. There are important aspects in the music industry that you need to know in order to get outside. I mean, to get recognized, to be, the promotion, marketing, the merchandising. And you have, even if you're not signed to a label, if you're not hooked up with a booking agency, you can do it, do it yourself style. You can make things happen, definitely.
Please go check out Nuclear with their new album, Murders of Crow. It's out now on every platform. It's out everywhere. Vinyl, CDs, cassettes, you name it. They have it all you gotta do is just hit them up, support them, support your locals, support your metal scene, and please don't be an asshole. Don't be jerks. Love each other, respect each other. Francisco, thank you so much, man. Thank you for taking your time. Having this conversation with you is absolutely amazing. And yes, people, stay heavy, stay safe, and also keep it real, or like I always say, get fucked. So thank you, Francisco. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias. Thank you.
A la orden. Cheers to you, man.
Cheers.